We can now go across to France 24's Seema Gupta, standing by outside the presidential palace in Rome. Seema, I'm going to ask you about Macron's lunch with the president later, but first, he met with Pope Francis earlier at the Vatican. Do we know what the two leaders discussed?
Well, we're still waiting for a clear statement, but what we do know so far is that the meeting lasted about 55 minutes, which is a significant amount of time. The Pope generally has audiences with world leaders that are a little bit shorter. We do know that they exchanged gifts, and clearly peace was on top of the agenda. The Pope presented the French president with a bronze medal with St. Peter's image on it and a volume of papal documents, including the Pope's message of peace. And for his part, the French president, as a gift, gave him a first edition in French, a book by the philosopher Emmanuel Toward Perpetual Peace. So really peace on the agenda, and the war in Ukraine, a war on European soil. We already saw Mr. Macron addressing that conference on peace on Sunday, saying that it was important for Ukraine to decide the time and terms of peace talks with Russia. The French president very much in favor of dialogue as a way forward to resolving the conflict, and so is the pontiff. They are both of them on the same page on this issue. So clearly that's going to be on top of the agenda for the both of them. We'll have to see what comes out of the specifics of the meeting. But what we do know is right at this moment, the French president is inside the Quirinale presidential palace. Behind me, we saw the motorcade come in, and he's having a private lunch with his counterpart, the Italian president, Sergio Mattarella.
And Seema, what's on Macron's agenda for the rest of his time in Rome?
Well, what we do know after this lunch is that he's expected to make a short visit to the St. John in the Lateran Church. Now, that is an important basilica and cathedral here in Rome. It's the Cathedral of the Pope, and that it has also a specific link with France. He was actually honored with the honorary canon of the basilica back in 2018. So he's expected to make a visit there. But I think the highlight, or perhaps the largest amount of interest that came out of this visit, was something that wasn't planned at all. And that was on the sidelines of the visit, the meeting with the newly elected and newly sworn in Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the far-right leader, making the first meeting with an international leader being with France. I think that both of them realize how important it is to have those ties. Not only are they key European countries, but also they border each other, they're neighbors. And so it's important to start out on good ties. There have been some frictions in the past, but clearly they want to present a united front. Mr. Macron tweeting a picture of the meeting that took place on the rooftop of a building here in the historic center of Rome, describing how it was necessary to continue with dialogue and ambition in terms of the ties between France and Italy.
That picture, which looks like it was taken in the dark. Thank you very much for that, Seema Gupta, reporting there for us from Rome.